Today we're going to leave our familiar airport of Sedona and venture south to reach Flagstaff Airport. To guide us, we will rely on the navlog. It references the different legs necessary to reach our final destination. Our first goal is to fly over the runway center at 6,500 feet with a heading of 41 degrees. By doing so, we will be perfectly set up to engage with the first leg of the navlog. After takeoff, we will continue crosswind as if we were following the standard traffic pattern. However, we won't turn downwind. Instead, we will continue climbing to 6,500 feet before turning on course toward the runway center. Okay, you can take off whenever you're ready. During takeoff. Your target altitude is 6,500 feet. Maintain 75 knots. That's 500 feet above the traffic pattern, as we don't want to interfere with incoming aircraft. Maintain 75 knots. As you climb, turn left so you stay in the vicinity of the airport. Maintain 75 knots. To reach the target altitude, you want to climb faster to reach a safe altitude. To ensure accurate navigation, you want an accurate starting point. And what's more accurate than the runway you just departed from? Go ahead and position your plane above the airport. Maintain 6,500 feet. 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 That's it for navigation departure. Well done. We're currently at 6,500 feet, about 30 seconds flight time to Sedona Airport. As we make our way toward the runway center, let's talk more about navigation. When you need to set and maintain a heading, you'll want to rely on your heading indicator. Compasses are prone to errors, especially during turns or while accelerating or decelerating. Okay, we're in position over the runway center. Next step is to validate the time. That's a fancy way of saying, start your stopwatch. Start your stopwatch. Start your stopwatch. On the nav log, you can see our next waypoint, Munns Park, is at a 41-degree heading about 5 minutes away. That means we need to be on a 41-degree heading. Check your heading indicator and make your turn. Turn to a 41-degree heading. Check your heading indicator. Good. Maintain a 41-degree heading. As you approach Munns Park, the terrain level rises. To maintain a safe altitude, we'd better climb to 8,000 feet. Make sure you keep the same heading. Maintain full power during your climb. Navigation is basically flying a given heading for a given amount of time. Sometimes you deviate. But if you track the time flown from your last known position, you'll always have at least a range for your current position. Okay, now get back to cruise attitude. Let the speed increase, then set cruise power at 2,300 RPM. on its right. This is Munns Park Golf Club. We're almost there. Let's proceed over it and see if the stopwatch matches the navlog estimation. We all know speed can increase or decrease depending on the wind. That's why at your next waypoint, you'll want to compare your estimated time en route with the actual time flown. Validate your estimate and your progress. Well done, but there's room for improvement. Navigation to Munns Park is in the books. Perfect weather for a flight out of Nice Côte d'Azur, don't you think? We're on runway 22 left, and we're cleared for takeoff. Taking off in an A320 obviously requires more speed and a longer runway than a single-engine prop plane. But luckily, we have some extra tools at our disposal to make the job a little easier once we're airborne. For starters, the autothrust manages engine power to maintain a target airspeed. Autopilot will keep us on track with navigation, and the fly-by-wire system lets us maintain a consistent attitude without needing to make constant adjustments. When I give the word, you're going to execute a straight-out takeoff. After you complete the initial climb, I'll take the controls. But first, check the MCDU for our reference speeds. I already typed in today's numbers. The rotation speed, VR, is 131 knots. I'll call out when we reach it. Take a look at the PFD now. Then, once we hit VR, you just need to begin a gentle rotation by pulling back on the side stick. Don't exceed 10 degrees until you've lifted off. Next, let's review the thrust levers. We need to be aware of 3 different detents. Use the climb detent labeled CL on your throttle to automatically manage the thrust for the remainder of the flight. Toga to take off at full power on short runways or when performing a go-around. And for today, FLX MCT for a reduced thrust takeoff. We reduce thrust at takeoff to preserve our engine life and save fuel. Now let's monitor the engine parameters. As you can see on the engine warning and system display, I applied the parking brakes earlier. Okay, we're ready to go. Apply half forward side stick. Then move both thrust levers gently forward to 50% N1. Then move them to the flex detent. Okay, now the auto thrust is armed. Use the rudder to keep us on the center line. 80. Rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Engage autopilot. Autopilot can either be engaged 5 seconds or 100 feet after takeoff to manage heading and altitude. The FMA is showing lever climb, which means we've reached thrust reduction altitude. Adjust the thrust levers to climb detent. Now we're in the climb detent. Auto thrust is active and will manage airspeed by adjusting the power. At S speed, retract flaps to 0. Disarm ground spoilers. Well done, but there's room for improvement. We're on course for a visual landing approach into Nice Côte d'Azur. Auto thrust is going to handle power management, so our main objective is to control the pitch to stay on the glide slope. The beauty of fly-by-wire means you only need to use the stick when you want to make attitude adjustments. Alright, as long as auto thrust is on, the speed will be automatically managed. Throttles should stay in the climb detent. Just focus on the trajectory. Remember, fly-by-wire doesn't need a lot of corrective input. Just keep making small adjustments to pitch and roll as necessary. See the screw on the dash above the PFD? Use that as a guideline to keep us centered on the runway. For a visual approach, we have the track FPA mode activated. This will display the green velocity vector on your attitude indicator. Place it 3 degrees below the horizon to follow a 3-degree glide slope. Look to the right of the runway at the 4 colored lights called Pappy. They'll give feedback to stay within a 3-degree glide slope all the way down. If the Pappy shows 2 white lights and 2 reds, then we're on target. 4 white lights means we're too high. 4 red means we're too low. At 20 feet, pull back on the stick to kiss the runway, but be careful to avoid a tail strike.
1,000. 500. 400. 300. 200.
We're getting close to the threshold. Now shift your focus down to the end of the runway. Listen for the computer calling out retard, then set thrust to idle.
300. 200. 100. 60, 50, 40,
Time to flare.
20. Retard. 20. Retard.
Now return the side stick to neutral. Spoilers and auto brakes are activated. You did well, but you can do better.